Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Today, I'm going to discuss my fears right now with Chelsea Football Club. Fears that stem from all of the ongoing actions from other clubs in the transfer market, our actions in the transfer market, and I want to address the club's statement yesterday from Todd Boehly, a message to our fans, which is us, watching this video, me talking about what went wrong in the first season, or not necessarily pinpointing what went wrong, but acknowledging that it didn't go very well. What do we want to go and move forward with? What do we want to achieve? And quite frankly, if I was to summarize the post, I'll go through a bit of it in a second, but if I was to summarize everything, we identify that the Chelsea women's team are very good. We're excellent. The Chelsea men's team, incredibly disappointing, but obviously acknowledging that things didn't go well is a given. I don't think anyone can say that for the men's team this season we were good. There wasn't really any periods of time where we were good, and the fact that during this message to Chelsea fans, they acknowledge the atmosphere in the home game against Dortmund, which was the pinnacle of our season. We overcame a deficit, we beat Borussia Dortmund, qualified for the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and then as a result of losing to Real Madrid in the manner in which we did, we absolutely understood and I accepted just where we are as a football club. But to know and acknowledge things and obviously look to move forward is expected. Chelsea Football Club should not be down in 12th place in the Premier League table with no European football in a season where there are more English clubs competing in Europe than ever before, and yet Chelsea aren't in there. Brighton and Aston Villa are. Newcastle are. It says a lot about the current state of where the club is at, but my fears, they stem from everything I've just said, plus the way that we are still going to be manipulated in the transfer market and the inability to attract players due to no Champions League football, and the fact that the Chelsea project is probably 2 or 3 years away from even being close, in my opinion, to where clubs like Arsenal are. And if you remember, Arsenal had Mikel Arteta. It didn't go very well at the start, some people calling for his head. And now time has passed where Arsenal probably won't have the same potential expenditure that Chelsea do, but players will hold out for a move to Arsenal over Chelsea simply because they're already at that phase now within their development, within their project, where it's an attractive prospect. Players will look at potentially joining Arsenal, and it's become, over the course of 12 months, a more attractive place to go than Chelsea. And I believe that because the league position Arsenal are in, the fact that even if they're not spending the same amount of money as Chelsea, yes, they're still spending money. It's a myth that Arsenal haven't spent anything. They absolutely have. But with Arteta, they've got stability. They're joining a dressing room where you've got a mission, which is to challenge for the Premier League. They got as close this season as they could have done, in my opinion. Yes, many people will say Arsenal bottled the Premier League. They did, in essence, but at the same time, you look at the strength and depth of that Man City squad. You look at Guardiola's project, double the length of that of Arteta, and you can understand why between the middle, the three-quarter part of the season and the final quarter, City went like that. Arsenal haven't been there in so long and went like that. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. People will use the fact that Arsenal were pretty much nailed on to win it as they bottled the league. That's a great explanation, but at the same time, that Man City team, they have been doing this for so long. End of the season, grinding out results. And for Chelsea, I think we're so far away if we compare ourselves to Man City here, which is a very unfair thing to do, by the way, but I'm going to do it regardless, just to emphasise the gap right now between Chelsea's rivals and us. Chelsea cannot be in a position, I don't think, right now, with the turmoil that's been going on in the squad, even with Pochettino coming, with the squad rebuild that we're going to do, I don't think it's possible for Chelsea to be in a position next season, with half the season still to go, to be like, right, okay, well, we've entertained everybody now, we've got a load of points, we're in some kind of race, let's just grind it out. I don't think Chelsea have the capacity to do so, because this season, when grinding out results was the only thing we could really strive for, we couldn't do it then. And I think as much as a squad rebuild is absolutely necessary and will improve us, I don't think it gets us in the foreseeable future to a level where we can do what Arsenal did last year. So the point I'm making here is when we see Arsenal are about to submit a 100 million bid for Declan Rice, a player who I have said for 3 years is absolutely ready-made, perfect for Chelsea Football Club, not just for the narrative, but the leadership. He's absolutely everything that Chelsea need. A defensive midfielder, now a winner. He's lifted a trophy aloft above his head. A European trophy. Declan Rice is everything that Chelsea could have wanted, and a year ago, we were priced out of the move, but to ever consider that Rice would have gone to Arsenal over Chelsea until now would have been something that I think very few people would have believed. You also look at the fact that maybe Caicedo wants a move to Arsenal over Chelsea as well, and before you know it, the 3 best available defensive midfielders that Chelsea could have signed this summer will probably have joined another club before the transfer window even begins. So my fear, just how bad this season was, as much as we want to just kind of forget it, let it blow over. We've got statements from Todd Boehly saying, yeah, it wasn't very good and we've got such a great project here, guys. I just fear that what will happen as a result of this is that Chelsea go further down the pecking order of teams that can compete with Manchester City to win the Premier League. If Arsenal sign Caicedo and Rice, or even one of them, I think they're going to be a significantly better outfit than us next season. I don't just want to sit here, Mr. Negative. You guys know I'm usually optimistic. It drained quite a lot throughout the course of the season that we've just witnessed, but at the same time, it's all well and good Chelsea building the blocks and the foundations, but we have got to make sure this summer the business that we do is 110% correct, because what we did last year, the new owners came in, we spent 600 million in one season thinking that that was the right way to go about challenging for titles. And this season, even if we don't spend the same amount of money again, the fact of the matter is, as much as the squad was inflated last year, it was a massive squad and it needed to be better. The players weren't good enough and it was too big. It was difficult for Lampard to manage, Potter to manage, Tuchel to manage. Everyone struggled to manage a squad where a lot of them were European champions, but at the same time, everyone looked around and was like, I don't know how to play with him. I don't know how to play with him. And what are you telling me to do? Everything was a mess. Now, this summer, another one of my fears is that despite selling a plethora of players, probably in excess of 10 players this summer will leave Chelsea, is what we're led to believe and what we're seeing at the moment in the media. That's all well and good. Bringing in 4 or 5 good quality names as well, and Nkunku, Gusto, all of these players. To bring in all of these players is great, but again, what do we have here? We have a new period of having to settle. A new period of hoping that Pochettino is a good enough manager to get everybody to gel, to get us entertained on the pitch. But quite frankly, I would rather Chelsea scored 5 goals in the first 5 games of next season, but won them all 5-0. 1-0, sorry. 5 wins out of 5 and not be entertained. Grind it out. But I don't know if that is the avenue we're going to be able to go down. Pochettino is an exciting attacking manager who quite often totally eliminates the, let's just say, the rigidity required sometimes from a Premier League team to be able to grind. Sometimes that Tottenham team were getting battered, but the next week they go and batter someone. And I think the same at PSG. With this Chelsea team, there's got to be a middle ground found here, and I'm just hoping that all of the behind the scenes things that we're seeing here, I mean, if we look at things, we are building a modern scouting, talent identification and recruiting infrastructure within our sporting department, led by Lawrence Stewart and Paul Winstanley, which will help us to identify and transform the squad around elite talent, a squad capable of consistently competing to win the Premier League, raise domestic cups and compete and win at the highest level in European football. We have also appointed Chris Jurasek as CEO to drive our business forward off the pitch, which in turn will make us sustainable on the pitch. We need to understand what this means. Chelsea being sustainable on the pitch means that we can't have flip-flopping. We can't be European champions and then within 2 years finishing 12th. That is what sustainability on the pitch is. And I think Chelsea, we need to accept right now as a club that challenging for the top 4 for a couple of years should be the optimum goal, in my opinion. That is where I'm currently sat with it. And I've compared City to Chelsea, Arsenal to Chelsea today, because I think these are the aspirational models. City for the longevity. City are sustainable, even though they've got 115 charges. But in terms of like, they may have broken a ton of rules in the process of doing so, but to look at the way they play, to look at how Guardiola gets them absolutely firing for the whole season, that is the model Chelsea need to be looking at. With Arsenal, they saw that they were struggling. Wenger, Emery didn't work out. Arteta, they stuck with him. And I know the irony of this is, we said this last season with Graham Potter. I already know what the comments are going to say, and then I wanted him out. Pochettino is a better manager on paper than Graham Potter, and I think even if you remove the paperwork, he's a better manager than Graham Potter. So now, Chelsea have an elite bracket manager. Now we've got to understand where we're at. Now we need to taper expectations in accordance to comparing where other clubs are, where they're going to get to, because we don't have Champions League football. Chelsea will struggle to get top targets because other Premier League clubs are now more attractive than Chelsea Football Club. This is the reality of the situation, and I hope, despite this statement from the club being like, yep, we're going to get us back to winning things, we're going to get us back to lifting trophies, the process to do that cannot be erratic anymore. The reason I wanted to make this video today was related to the news that Rice might be about to go to Arsenal, the player I've always wanted. Caicedo also potentially prefers a move to Arsenal over Chelsea. So then what do we have in the midfield? Yesterday I talked about Palhinha, there's still Romeo Lavia, there's still Manu Kone of Borussia Mönchengladbach. Good midfielders, but if Arsenal get Rice and Caicedo, they have had a better window in midfield than Chelsea, and were already so much better than Chelsea in midfield last year. See where I'm going with this? I just think we should taper things. I think the statement was good. I think it's nice that the club are communicating with fans. They also mentioned about the fan advisory board where they'll be listening to a select group of fans this summer to see where the club are heading, what we should be doing to move forward. I think it's a good step from the owners. But again, we've got to take it with a pinch of salt because these words are expected. What did we expect? We expected that statement, if there was going to be one. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If I'm too negative, do let me know that as well. But I do think this is less about me being negative and more understanding where we're at. And I'm scared that we could be overtaken more and more by the teams who are already ahead of us in the last Premier League season. And Chelsea's incapacity to attract players because of no Champions League football. I really hope it doesn't bite us. But anyway, going to wrap up more news in a later video today. Subscribe if you are new. If you guys join the Telegram, link down below, you'll be informed about my partnership with Go Markets, Chelsea's trading partner. And you guys will be in with a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to the first Premier League home game of the season, as well as a signed Frank Lampard shirt. So make sure you join the Telegram, check things out there if it's for you. I'll see you guys in a later video today. Come on, you Blues.